What's going on, folks? My name is Joe, aka J to the OE. Welcome back to Joey's Games, where we talk about video games, food, nerd stuff, or anything else that's going on in my life. There are a ton of ways to collect games, and a ton of ways not to collect games. But today, I'm going to talk about the type of video game collectors that you shouldn't be. But before we get into any of that, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section what is your most annoying thing about video game collectors, and what type of video game collectors do you not like? Let me know in the comments. There are a lot of different ways to collect video games. Some of them are healthy, some of them are not, but not damaging, and some of them quietly just suck the fun out of the hobby. And if you've been collecting long enough, honestly, you've probably been one of these. And believe me, I know. I've been one of these at a certain time of my life, and I don't like it. Number one type of collector that you don't want to be is the FOMO collector. This is the collector who buys out of fear. Fear that the game will be expensive. Fear that the game will sell out. Fear that this might be my only chance, my last chance to get this game. They never ask, do I even want this game? They ask, will I regret it if I don't buy it? Now, this is very dangerous and very expensive to be a part. There should be no fear in buying games. And honestly, thanks to Video Game Plus and companies like it, they're all about reprints, and I am all about that. I remember I searched far and wide for a physical copy of Golf Story and a physical copy of Celeste, and they were so expensive. And I actually got one for a pretty penny at the time for Golf Story, and then about a week or so later, I learned that they were reprinting it. And that was annoying, because not because it was expensive before, but because I should have just waited. I should have just waited and gotten it cheaper. The next type of collector that you don't want to be, I call the validation collector. This collector buys games just for reactions. They like the shelf photo. They like the likes. They like the comments. And if nobody sees you getting this game, does it really count? It's like back in the day, they're like pics or it didn't happen. It feels like it doesn't matter unless they are shared with you or on YouTube. This used to be me. You know, some of these games, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'll enjoy them, but I'll enjoy talking about buying them on video. So I buy them, and then I end up just selling them because, man, right? Your validation should not come from me or from anyone else except your own personal enjoyment. And if nobody else enjoys the game except you, so what? Do you, baby. Do you? The next type of collector that you don't want to be, I call the comparison collector. Now, comparison, I've always said, will either make you depressed or prideful. Both things you don't want to be in my book. This collector is always looking at other people's shelves and collections. This collection is never enough because someone else has more. Someone else has something more rare. Someone else has something cleaner. Like, you still own some pretty great games and you still feel behind. I felt that way about 2 years ago. I'm like, man, I gotta get the new hotness all the time, whether or not I even want to. But I just gotta keep up. I'm trying to keep up. Who am I trying to keep up to? Nobody. It's my time. It's my games. And so last year, I didn't buy a lot of games at release. I waited for sales. And now I'm finally going through those games that I wanted to go through last year. Because look, if you got a great game, then you got a great game that'll be great next year. Now, if you got a game that's not going to be great next year, then it's really not that good of a game. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 will always be a great game. Astrobot will always be a great game. I just finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And even though I didn't play it at release and I waited for a sale, that's still an amazing, great experience and a great game. So, time makes it cheaper anyways. The next one, number 4. Actually, this is the one that annoys me the most, is the gatekeepers. These collectors love rules, you know. You're not a real collector if this. Well, digital doesn't really count. Well, reprints don't count either. Budget copies don't count if you don't pay full price. It doesn't matter. But somehow, some way, only their way of collecting, only their way of appreciating this game is the right way. Forget that, man. Like what you like. Do you. First of all, it's exhausting being this way. Why am I worried about what you're enjoying? Why does your enjoyment or lack thereof impede on my enjoyment? That doesn't make any sense. So don't be a gatekeeper. Please don't be a gatekeeper. The next type of collector that you don't want to be is the one more will fix it collector. The collector is always one game away from being complete. One more pickup, one more grill, one more shelf, one more. The completion thing never actually exists. That's the thing, because that feeling doesn't come from buying it. The feeling comes from your own. I tell you what, video games are amazing. Video games are a great escape from reality. Video games are great and an artful storytelling, but video games will never complete you. Say that again. Video games will never complete you. So don't look for actual fulfillment in video games. The next one. The hoarder. Don't be a hoarder. There's no rhyme or reason. You don't curate your collection. You know, you just accumulate. The games will pile up and nothing gets played. Honestly, this collection just starts to feel stressful instead of fun. You just ask yourself, well, do I have this instead of do I want this? You know, this is how I felt when I really started getting into collecting. I'd go into a GameStop and I'd be like, I'm going to spend some money. Why? Because I can. Because I don't have this game yet. Or are you going to play it? I don't know. I need to fill the shelf. I heard it's good. Maybe I'll play it. You know, man, that wasn't a good time for the wallet, honestly. And it was stressful because then I'm like, do I need this? Do I want this? Does it even matter? You know, it's always great to have a meaning to every collection, you know, to everything you buy. Even, you know, now I'm collecting watches. There's meaning behind these watches that I want. You know, there's milestones. There's things that make me think about these watches. And the same thing with these games. You know, they bring me back to a place of happiness. And that's what it should be. The next collector that you don't want to be is the identity collector. The collector ties their self-worth to their personal collection. Any type of criticism feels personal. Opinions feel like attacks. Because their collection isn't just something they enjoy. Their collection is who they are. You know, and this kind of goes back to what's worth it and how you get fulfillment. Like, video games are things. Video games are just pieces of entertainment. This should not be who you are. It should not be Joe the gamer. I'd rather be known as Joe the husband, Joe the dad, Joe the good friend, you know. Joe the funny guy, not Joe the gamer. There's so much more to life than gaming, even though I have a ton. And you are much more than just a person who plays video games. I bet you're smart, I bet you're funny, I bet you're kind, hopefully. And so those are the things that you should put your identity on, and not on what you do. What you do should not be who you are. And the last collector that you don't want to be is the burnt out collector. This is where, honestly, people sometimes just end up. Buying feels more like an obligation. Excitement turns into guilt because you end up thinking, man, why do you even buy this? This is how I felt when the Super NES Mini came out. My buddy was like, hey, you gonna get it? I'm like, well, yeah. And so I got in line. I got it. I played it. And I'm like, why'd I get this? Why do I even get this? I mean, it's nice, but it's like, you know, why? With a H. But here's the thing, though, right? Most of these types of collectors aren't permanent. They're just, most of them, sometimes they're phases that you go in and out of. And really, that's what happens to most of us. They go in and out of them. And once you're self-aware, it's like, oh, no, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that, you know? And that's the best kind of collector, is a person who buys with intention, a person who has self-awareness, who plays what they own, and who doesn't care what really anyone else thinks. So if you collect video games, which if you're on this channel, you probably do, which one of these feel a little too familiar to you? You know, be honest. And you know, if I'm honest, I've been one of these at any certain point in the last 5 or 6 years that I've started collecting. Yeah, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better about that. So, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. I will see you later, or I will see you another time.